Please, yeah. Do that. Okay, everybody, and welcome to the live stream of this year's parade from Cork City. I'm Ronan. You can text in any requests you'd like. The WhatsApp number is there in the bio, as they say, but it's plus 353 89 or 089 947 4683. We'll be starting in earnest in about 2 minutes. One, two. So hello everyone again. So hello everyone again. Rolling here now. Rolling here now on the live stream. So we're here upstairs in the library. The parade starts on the South Mall, so as people know their geography, the parade, while it starts at 1 o'clock, won't be coming around the corner for a few minutes, so I'll start reading out some requests. So the texts have been flying in. I don't want to read them all just before the parade starts itself, but we have them coming in from several countries already. Last year we had 25 different countries texting in. Well, people from the countries, they weren't official missives. Here we go. Okay. Started. Hello, everybody, and the parade has started. It's coming around the corner, like the old song, and we're starting first with the blood bikes, one of the many crucial services that runs in the city and around the county and, of course, the country. They were the Grand Marshal of the parade in 2022. They're based in St Finbarr's Hospital, but of course they cover, as you know, all over the country, going up the various junctions and motorways of the city and country. So it's a perfect way to start the festival and the parade today. So once again, I'm Ronan, and I'm going to be here for the next hour and a half or so. Obviously you can hear the beeping and the cheers already, and they're not beeps for us to be taken away in appropriate language. It's just the energy has already started. The theme for this year's parade is Marsh, Myth and Magic, so you'll see that theme emerging through the various community parade groups that will be part of the different floats and presentations. See people waving at the camera already on the live stream. Feel free for people to do that themselves and take screenshots, and if you are watching at home, it'd be great if you want to take a photo maybe and put it on social media, and you can tag us at Cork City Council, Cork St Patrick's Parade. So as I said, the messages have been flying in already. I won't for GDPR reasons, I won't give exact addresses, but we had our first message going all the way to Toker from Ray Horgan, who is one of the many find musicians in the city. The old joke is if you throw a guitar in Cork, you'll hit a musician. And I know Ray from Plenty Sessions, and he's sending it out to both his parents. Lots of love. And we have another message from Susan Horgan, who's also sending hello to her parents, Joan and Charlie, out in Toker. I'm not the world's greatest detective, but it's not impossible. They're the same people. She was saying her mum spent many years marching in the parade with the Toker Majorettes back in the day, which is a nice broad term which covers any year of your choice. And their dad also marched in the Cork Samba School of Percussion back in that same day. We will be hearing some samba and percussion later. You'll be able to see that as it comes around the corner. As you can see, the weather is holding brilliantly, which is great, because a few days ago the forecast wasn't as good. Look at me, I'm an Irishman talking about the weather. What a surprise. But the streets are full all the way from the South Mall all the way to Patrick Street. I came in early to set up and stuff, and there was already people queuing to get the best vantage points. This year we also have a ISL section, which is great. It's one of my peers commentating on the festival. We have Simon and Izzy Showbizzy from 96 FM doing it in real life out in the wilds. But I get to do this one for posterity and the rest of the world. Of course, on a days like this, it's really important to reflect on people less fortunate than ourselves. So I'm thinking of absolutely everyone who doesn't live in Cork. My heart goes out to you, but you're always welcome to visit. We have a message coming all the way from Perth, which is a lot further than Toker. So it is a message from Perth going from Jimmy, Leisha, Sinead, Daniel and Roisin Holmes, all the way to their friends and family, particularly in Rosscarbery and Ovens. Now, if that person is texting in, is there any chance someone in your family is involved with selling bikes? Because I think I got my first bike from Holmes. If anyone's there living in Ballincollig, I think that was the name of the bicycle place on the way to the park. Not everything I'm saying will have as much personal detail. We have a message in from New York as well, from Niall Connolly. He's a Glanmire, I think, originally, but he's been living in the States for quite a while with a brilliant music career. If memory is right, his 10th album is coming out this year, so he'll be back playing all the many great venues of the city and county. Obviously, live music is one of my passions, so hopefully we'll be able to mention some of the different musicians as we go throughout. And now we get to see the band of the 1st Brigade. They're stationed up in Collins Barracks. As I've mentioned last year, when the wind is in the right direction, I'm able to hear them rehearsing. I'll be able to zoom in there. You can see there as well the national colours. This is the Irish Defence Forces Colour Party, and it's been carried today by Captain Noel McCarthy. And he's been escorted by Sergeant Stephen Kelly and Sergeant Killian Hickey, both from the number 1 Brigade Artillery Regiment. Pause so that the microphones can pick up the brass music. We've some messages coming in from Sligo. A shout out to all the Greens and McHughes up in Sligo, and if we could mention Patrick Green in Miami. Full disclosure, I am related to some of the people that were just thanked there, and that's from Padraig and Kitty, who I can't remember where they are in the world right now. I think they are, once again, it doesn't matter, I don't need to tell everybody where people are, but I want to thank the people texting in. I know I keep referring to all these texts, but I'm only reading them slowly. It's just because we're here for a long time and a good time. We also have some another text going out to all the gang at St. Joseph's on the Mardyke, please. That's from Aisling. She is one of the staff members there. And I suppose I should give a general shout out to all the teachers and SNAs in Cork City and County, and I suppose the world, of course, because they are some of the people who are encouraging all the young people, and we'll be seeing a lot of them over the course of the parade with their extracurricular stuff like the gymnastics and sport and stuff. But the national pride, the national language, it comes from our schools first. We are seeing a lot of people parading today and marching, but we do have a shout out now and a request for somebody who's recovering from knee surgery from all his pals at work. That's to Robin up in Dublin from, I believe, Aoife. I'm reading off WhatsApp profiles, so I need to be sure. So you can keep those texts coming in. The number, once again, is in the bio of the YouTube feed, but it's 089 947 4683, and don't forget the plus 353 if you're messaging from elsewhere. Another musician is messaging there. It's Colin D. Cronin. He's a brand new single coming out with his one-man music project. The Future Cork Local Band is the hashtag. And the song is called Illegitimate Child. He says it's an 80s rock style. And he wants to give a shout out to everyone in the Good Hood, which is a pizza-led cafe restaurant up in St. Luke's Cross. I don't know, should I be charging for all these, any specific mentions, but I'm going to do it all for free today, within reason. And here we go, is today's Grand Marshals. It's the Irish Guide Dogs. Last year we had a lot of messages in from people sending messages from their dogs and cats, or to their dogs and cats, and of course that is something we endorse today. I don't know if cats and dogs can actually send messages though, but who am I to judge? So, just to speak a little bit more about the Irish Guide Dogs, they've successfully partnered more than 2,000 guide, assistants and community dogs over the last half century. They're celebrating their 50th year this year. I assume that's human years and not dog years. And they're brilliant. They're empowering so many people with different needs, families of children with autism, visual impairments. Just a crucial element to so many people. And you can see the many volunteers and staff members of the guide dogs who are walking with the dogs today. And I will pause for people to look at the lovely dogs just a little bit more. We've a shout out from Joya out to Fia, Nisha and Ellie, excuse me. They're all watching right in front of us in the window. I obviously look very distinctive. And there we have in your view right now is the Barrack Street Band. I remember them playing, well, for many years in many different ways, that you'd see them all over the city. And they are in partnership with Music Generation, the Music Generation of Cork City. In recent years, they have been encouraging more and more kids and young adults, and even former children, or who I believe are called adults, to either revisit, relearn, or start from scratch their instruments. They aren't solely open to just people from Barrack Street, but that's obviously the spiritual home of the Barrack Street Band, and they've been part of the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Cork since 1889. Which is when a lot of my jokes were first thought of. Lovely message in from Gabby, saying a happy first St. Patrick's Day in Ireland to Sagan. Apologies, I am not the best. Well, some people would say I can barely speak English, but I definitely am not. My superpower isn't speaking other people's languages or names. So you want to see the Barrack Street Band starting to march there, and you might recognise that classic tune. We're not going to be stuck for music over the next hour and a bit. There's several musical groups playing at the same time up and down the city route. So as we're on the Grand Parade, so that music will feed its way up to Patrick Street, and it will be followed by more music. I won't say from which brass band, because we do have several this year, or well, marching bands. Daniel from Knocknaheeny, that's our first message from the other side of the river, wants to have a shout out to his partner Leanna, their son Kieran, on his first Patrick's Day as well, and he wants to give a general shout out to all his family as well. So he's covered a lot of bases there, but welcome particularly to everyone who's having their first ever Patrick's Day. First direct compliment to me, so Karen O'Neill says I'm doing a great job. Thanks very much. Unlike certain people, the first half of my performance is going to be brilliant, and the second half. Well, that's for others to decide. A happy birthday then to Vicky English, who has moved to Cork from Argentina and it's her happy birthday today, I believe, and it's from Nico, Martina, Pato, and Sarah in Oyster Haven. So there we have the Trish McCarthy School of Dance in front of us. They are based in the Loch Community Centre and Toka Girls National School. They teach all sorts of dance classes, hip-hop, theatre, contemporary, freestyle, and there's students as young as 13 and goes all the way to 18. They're wearing their dance uniform, so you might see those in the Echo and stuff from there. Many times they win awards. Another big shout out to all the Skullvira girls. They're watching it by the fire. It's from Shona Brown and Martina English. They would love a shout out. There you go. And that's from Martina. And now we have the Catholic Guides of Ireland. They've been in Cork for over 90 years, and the current Chief Commissioner, Julie Donnelly, comes from Cork. They're also wearing their official uniform. You should be able to see it there. And they're neckerchiefs, I believe they're called, and woggles, I think. It's been a long time since I was in the Scouts, but we're all the same peer group. And they're singing some traditional campfire songs, which you can hopefully hear out there at least. And they have a trolley, you might have seen it, which is a paper mache campfire. And they're being followed by the Cork Rotary Club. You can see the Tree of Remembrance. Well, that's a smaller version of the one you'd normally see on Patrick Street in the run-up to Christmas. And the Cork Rotary Club do other things as well, such as day trips to Photo Wildlife Park for people from Cope, and they're marching in their blue and yellow umbrellas. And then you can see several people in a row. We had the Shine a Light, the volunteer-run mental health support charity. And right after them we had the Cork African Women's Group, founded in 2008 for women from Africa living in Cork. Currently has over 70 members. And just there then we had the Dolphin Swimming Club, founded in 1901, so it's their 125th anniversary this year. And several swimmers from the club have been representing Ireland at the European and World Championships. And they were actually Ireland's top-ranked club 2004 and 2005. They're Ireland's oldest competitive swim club. So right now you can see the Joan Denise Moriarty School of Dance. Those are bespoke, colourful costumes created for today's parade, and it's a specifically choreographed dance as well. They're going with a theme inspired by the movie Rio, and they're going for a Brazilian carnival vibe, as they say. And there are some of the younger members that you can see just there, but they cover all age groups and regions of Cork. And a message in from Cormac Desmond. He wants a shout out to Tony Desmond, who is watching in County Kilkenny at the moment from Mooncoin. And then a shout out to all the Henshin cousins around the world. They lost a mighty woman. I only met her once in my life, Catherine, at Christmas. And obviously, times like this, we do think of people who maybe we watched last year's parade with and are no longer able to. And we'll take a moment to think of all those. And there we had the Cork Rebel Wheelers as well, a multi-sports club providing plenty of opportunities for people of all ages with physical disabilities. The Rebel Wheelers basketball team won the national championship a few weeks ago, well, January. 7th time they've won that. They also do athletics, the Saturday morning clubs and wheelchair rugby. There we have next is the Polish school in Cork. School has over 700 students going from preschool all the way to the Leaving Cert, and the word they use is dedicate an extra hour each week to learn about their Polish language and heritage. I'm sure some of the kids on a Saturday morning are pushing the word dedication to its very limits, but it is obviously incredibly important for people keeping their culture alive. There's 25 fully qualified teachers who travel all around Cork to support those students. Shout out from Nick Hoffman to all his friends and neighbours. They're watching in the Shandon Court in Cork. Great to see the parade. And that's from Nick, Helena, Julia and Tabby. And a shout out to Sophia and Joshua watching from home. That's from Keith Mooney. And he informs me they're all dressed in green, white and gold. Fair play. We have a great group coming up here now. I think it's their first time in the parade. It is, I think. It's the Octopus Volleyball group. They're located in the north side of the city, up in Farranree, Scoil Isagon. The club was only founded in 2023, and it's about a community-led attitude to playing the sport. In fact, there's loads of what we'll call lesser known sports. We obviously know the big GA ones, etc. And we have another group here now, which is the Bangladeshi Association of Ireland. That's not a real tiger if you're watching on a small screen, but it is the local community. There's approximately 5,000 Bangladeshis living in Cork, and it's great for them also to be in the parade for the first time. Lisa Connolly has texted in asking me to give a shout out to Lucy and Logan and their dog Teddy. So as predicted, that is our first message from a dog. Reen texting in there to say hello to her daughter Quiva. She'll only be able to get that shout out in playback because she was actually walking today there with Dolphin. A text in from St. Luke's direction, I believe. A myriad of people being shouted out to her Aunt Eileen McSweeney over in Kilbarry. Hope she's having a great day. Lots of love from Miriam, and a happy St. Patrick's Day to her guide children, Olivia, Finn and Aisling, and also a happy St. Patrick's Day to Dara, Harrington, Leonard. The detectives there might work out. He is also my son. I want to give a huge shout out to, well, I shout out to him every day, but not to shout at him, which we shouldn't do to any of our children. Anyway, Breffney over in it's a +44 number, so I assume he's on the other side of the water. To Patricia Murphy of French's Villas, love from Richard, Niamh, Fionn, Breffney, Joe, and her favourite dogs, Bean and Spud, which is are these the best dog names so far? We won't have a competition. Life isn't a competition like that, but it is fun. Robin O'Sullivan texting in The girls in Bandon Road watching from 5 minutes away. You've got we'll say you're on the hill overlooking the parade. And thanks for the texts, one and all. They are actually flying in. So next year we might get some tech where they can roll across the screen or something. But it is lovely doing this as well. Barry Coffey's texted in. Well, he wants to shout out to his... There's a few Patricks in this message. Now says hello to his nephew Patrick in Munster in Germany. Then to his brother Padraig, who's watching the parade today. And then his father Pat, who was up in CUH today. But hopefully he'll be out later today. And I hope he's watching in. And if not, of course, he can watch it on the playback. Ciara Lawless and Alan Matthews somewhere near Montenotte are getting a shout out, and that's from Cullum over in the UK. He might be in America today. Cullum, I was giving a lecture about Ireland and its representation, and I really wanted to see that one, but obviously I wasn't in the right country at the right time. But hopefully we can get him over to Cork someday to do it soon. Luke texting in to have a shout out to Buster, Rosie, Joey, Luna and Tiger. So that's the most people in one go, I think. And that's from Luke. All the Halpins in Mayfield, from Sinead, they're saying Richard and Quinn are keeping an eye out for Auntie Louise in the parade. I don't know if she is in the parade or at the parade, but I hope she is enjoying it at this, whichever, if she's mobile or moving. Then a message from Garrett Green. I'm on the other side of the family. Oh, a couple messages Oscailga here. So Maloon, Bannockty, Lawfela, Padraig, Quigminter, Green, Galair, Mlarna, Ona, Cotswolds. I don't know what the Irish for Cotswolds is. Greenvara, Gloucestershire, Garrod, Sean, August Blaze, Madra. So no cats today. The people of Cork live stream parade are really showing that they're canine, not feline. But I hope you're all feline. No, sorry about that. But a lovely national pride. Karen Hogan's texted in to say a big happy St. Patrick's Day to Isabella and Olivia, and a first Patrick's Day to Freddie, and to also all their cousins who are home from Abu Dhabi, Thea and Isaac. So welcome, and I'm glad you're here. Somebody's taking a photograph of the cameras. So my ego being a bit bruised there, because surely it's photos of me they should be taken. Anyway, we have the Cork Community Art Link there. They are one of my favourite groups in the city. You can't see it, but you'll have to trust me. I'm wearing my Dragon of Shandon t-shirt as we speak, which is a great night they do on Halloween. But this is specially... So they've been working on this particular set of designs for the last 3 months. Over 100 people have been researching, developing, designing them, and they've built 2 huge floats. One is a heron, which you can see it's standing over 5 metres tall, and the second float is a frog carrying a mythical market on its back. Mystical. So in collaboration with the Cork Community Art Link, or Brothers of Charity in Blackpool, the National Learning Network, Cork Simon Community, UCC Drama, Pat Quinn and gang, and numerous volunteers from across the Cork and beyond. A buddy of mine is, well, I won't say which person he is, but he's there in the front, and I am pretty sure he is thinking, if he didn't get around to texting it in, he hellos to his niece Siúan and nephew Devon. We have a message in to Hannah McCarthy from her mum, watching at home in Blackpool. Hannah and her dad are at the parade, and that's from Erin McCarthy. I am delighted with the amount of messages coming in. I think we've gone over 200 from what I can gather, and we are going to get through all of them. But if you do like what you're seeing, the Cork Community Art Link, they do a lot with sustainability. They try to reuse as much materials as possible, and they are one of the best examples of the city and the spirit of the city, as what I can see over the years. A shout out to the best mother-in-law, Anne-Marie Morgan. She's tuning in from South Central Ballyfahan, and that's from Pat Murphy. He's definitely in the good books now for complimenting the best mother-in-law. He's the first person to say it, so nobody else can claim that today. That's the way it works. More dogs is being requested by Robin up in Dublin. Shout out to all the banterers at home and abroad. Up the Saints, and I assume St. Patrick and St. Bridget is what he's talking about there. We can't bring any club rivalries into this. So as I say, that is still the Cork Community Art Link. You can see the amount of people involved, and that is the second bespoke event that they have put in, and they've been working on that as a communal group. And if you're ever interested in joining any of their workshops or anything like that, you can follow them on social media, Cork Community Art Link. Yvonne Drummy has texted in, could we have a shout out to Calvin Drummy watching at home in Shanakeel? And once again, I am not one of those people who is too humble to not read out any compliments. So she also is complimenting the live stream. I want to thank Marius and all the people in Cork City Hall for facilitating the live stream. I think it's a crucial thing for people to be able to partake, even if they're not in the city. We just there had together Razim. They work with Polish and Eastern European migrants, and they run a Polish language curriculum school as well as providing counselling and social advice for people who've just moved here. And there we now have the Atma Indian dance troupe. They're consisting of dancers from all over India through different dance forms and music and classical music, folk, even Bollywood dancing, which a lot of us would know as well. There we have the Order of Malta next, dressed in their signature orange. There's a cadet unit who have been successful in winning many regional and national competitions, and they were awarded the 2025 Pride of Cork Award for all the work they do in the community. There's over 40 volunteer members fully trained in first aid and life-saving skills. And there we have the Sarah Connolly Dance Studios. They're based in Glenmire, Glenville, Knockraha direction. They have kids from 1 to 18, they say, and they did win the 2022 Best Youth Group at the Parade Award. They're wearing red, black and white, which is their dance uniform. A message in from Switzerland now. Chantal, she is a shout out to her host sister Maggie, who she stayed with when she came to Cork for an exchange year last year, and she became like a sister to me. So look, thanks very much for texting in, Chantal, and hopefully we'll see you in the future, because the only thing better than coming to Cork once is coming to Cork over and over. Shout out to Ava, Emily, Alison and Eve, who celebrated Patrick's Day yesterday. And they're now relaxing from said celebrations, and that's coming in from Appy the cat. Another happy first Patrick's Day to Vida L. Buckley from her mum and dad. And there we now see the Cork Academy of Music, and it's a Voices of Peace choir. You can see the Doves of Peace, and they're performing Bird of Prey. It's a vocal and choreographic piece performed in both English and Ukrainian. A big hello to Ben, Grace and Ted Gannon watching in from Claro. And Eve is telling Ben to finish his eggs. I can assume they're chicken eggs and not Easter eggs. No child is ever encouraged or has to be encouraged to finish an Easter egg. A message in from Isabel in Portugal. That's our first message from Iberian land. More dogs, please. And that's in from Isabel and Ruby, the golden retriever. And this is the first picture in, so we might put those on Instagram afterwards. So we've just seen there the Cork Renegades Baseball Club. They actually practice sometimes, or is it scrimmage? No, it's pitch about up in the pitch in the tank field up in Mayfield. And they also helped establish the Munster Baseball League in 2025. And we have the Polish Scout group there right now. So they're the first Polish Scout group in Ireland. And they're wearing the official uniforms of the Polish Scouting Association. That's our second mention of the Scouts. Oscailga, obviously it's Be Olav. In English it's Be Prepared. And it's Liski Si is what I think is how it's supposed to sound. And now we have the Hamilton Acro and Dance group. There's over 300 students. They're based up in Ballyfahan. They were recently nominated for 7 awards nationally and locally, including the Acro School of the Year. They won a Breakthrough School of the Year award as well at the UDC Industry and People's Choice Awards in Dundalk. So Ballyfahan well represented there. Fiona and Ramona messaging in from California. That's from Mike, who I believe has a visit to Cork planned with them at some point relatively soon, and we would love to see you all there when you finally get here. That's Ethio Cork, established only last year. It's the Ethiopian community in Cork, creating a sense of belonging for the Ethiopian families and preserving their cultural identity. Inish son Kuan Palestinuk Muan, a group of 40 men, women and children from Palestine who have made Cork their home. They're volunteer-led, community-based, and they're talking about their commitment to justice, human rights and international solidarity. They organise a lot of talks, film screenings, and they are presenting their culture of storytelling and dance. Obviously, we're standing in Grand Parade where there's a weekly march in solidarity with Palestine every Saturday at 1 o'clock. Another First Paddy's Day. This is to Daisy from her Aunt Roisin. No, her Aunt Roisin was supposed to be bringing her to the parade. And that's from Kate, who definitely isn't judging Roisin in any way there. The Hickeys, Elaine Hickey has texted in to say hello to Jean and Donna O'Neill, who are over in Florida. Jean has marched in several parades around Ireland, including in Cork. So this is a happy St. Patrick's Day from Cork all the way to you over there. And Hamilton Acro and Dance, they just passed a few minutes ago. There was a shout out to Mia and Isabella Kelleher. Isabella's first time in the parade, and their baby brother Ruben was supporting them there. And that is from Idel. What we have now is the Cork Puppetry Company. You can see them. Bog Off is a large scale parade, and they're flooding Cork streets with folklore, bogland beasts and musical. So if you do like what they're doing, it's the Cork Puppetry Company, well worth following on social media. And here we have one of our main guests, no disrespect to the other people, but as in it's one of the largest groups. It's the DC Everest Senior High School Marching Band. Director of the marching band, Joe Finnegan, his ancestors come from Cork, and this visit is the realisation of his lifelong ambition to bring a band to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. And there's the Wolf Pack. They are a group based up in Old Christians Club. They've players from 3 to seniors as well, over 100 members. And we had a shout out from Alexandra to the fantastic young people who all partake there. And they had a St. Patrick's hockey camp this week, and we had visitors from France, Spain, and France, Spain, and somewhere else. She told me, and I'm after forgetting, apologies, to come and take part. And we had another message. They are flying in from somebody who wanted to also give a shout out to them. Sorry. That's the Rising Sun School of Karate, located in Ballinlough Youth Centre. They have over 150 members, starting at 4, going all the way up to 75. And a lot of them qualified for the last 8 quarter-final veterans at the World Karate Championship in Japan in 2024. What we see there now is the CEC English College, located just across on Patrick's Bridge, so they're almost walking back to the college itself. They have over 63 nationalities, exactly 63 nationalities came to the CEC last year in 2025. Mark Barrett Perez, who has a shout out for his beautiful husband Frank Nukeku, who wasn't be able to make the parade but is watching there on YouTube. So welcome one and all. Drashti has texted in. She's working from home today, but she is based in Cork and delighted to be able to tune in and to hear such a fun commentary. I don't know if you're listening to my one or if there's a funner one elsewhere, but thank you. And here we go, more dogs for the dog fans. This is BCA, the Bolivian Irish Community Integration Association. They were founded up in Ballyvillan in 2024, and there's over 120 dancers there performing a variety of traditional Bolivian folk dances, and they're wearing traditional costumes there as well. I have some voice notes being sent in, and I do appreciate it, but we are unable to play the voice notes while we're actually doing the parade. So I do want to register that Rowena Sweeney sent one in. I can only assume it's positive, and but sorry, I'm not able to read them out. And the same to TJ Collins. But I do appreciate that everyone's making these efforts. Every year we try to make the parade better in many ways. So we do have Irish Sign Language section further up, and there's the script is available actually online to read along, and we will add more. Well, I'd say more bells and whistles, but there's plenty of bells and whistles there right now. You can hear them on the street. So a lot of messages coming in from YouTube as well. I'll be reading them out. We have the Cork Sanctuary Runners coming in. We have the Cork City LGBTI+. And you can see there the Mammies for Trans Rights there. There's over 140 members around the country. The last year won the Gala Ally of the Year award, and they won that last year, and they give out what they say is hugs on requests. And you can see Cork Community Pride Group there. They all members of the LGBTI plus community. They're wearing different rainbow themed costumes, and of course pride, trans, bi, intersex and other community flags. And then just behind them is the front runners and brisk walkers. It's a running and walking club for LGBTQIA plus individuals and allies. There's over 100 members in Cork. Big hello to Fia Desmond over in Bishopstown watching the parade at home. She only got out of hospital this morning, so get well soon. And that was the Edo State community, the South Nigerian Edo State at this year's parade, founded in 2007. Here we go. This is Cycling for All Cork. And that was the Ukrainian community choir Kalina. I have done various gigs with them over the course of the year, and they're a great group. They won the Community and Voluntary Award in 2024. That's the Peruvian community in Cork there. They're representing Inca civilization, inspired by chosen women, and accompanied by an Inca figure symbolizing the sun god Inti. And you can see right there is the Brazilian community in Cork. They previously took part in the parade as the Latin community, but this year they're participating as the Brazilian community, wearing green, yellow and blue, the national colours. And next up is the McKinney High School Royal Pride Marching Band, who've travelled all the way from Texas. They are made up of musicians from 13 to the age of 18, and they're joined by the Colour Guard drill team. So there's over 200 students taking part in this year's parade. David shouting out there to Drew Peacock, who couldn't make it into town but is watching at home from Tramore. Michael Hoare gets a shout out from Matthew Wright. He is also up in CUH. So get well soon there to Michael from all of us. And there we have St. Finbarr's GAA club, known as the Bars, based up in Toker. It's their 150th anniversary this year. We're seeing the club kids from 5 to the age of 12 who've been participating in the street leagues, and then we also see members of the men's senior team and the senior camogie team who won the county and Munster championships this year. They're wearing blue and gold and displaying several of their trophies. So that was Spree there from Waterford. They were representing the notorious pirate Anne Bonny in search of the Lee Map Dragon. She was born in Kinsale around 1698, one of the most famous pirates in history. So that's the Cork Sugarcraft Association, founded in 1994 by Jacqueline Cullinan and the late Sue Cummins. They're demonstrating creativity and sharing skills of the award-winning sugarcraft in competition. They meet on the last Tuesday of every month up in Douglas. And there we have the Crones and Colitis Ireland. We have a message in from Victoria Spillane, who wanted to say hello and a shout out to all the IBD and Stoma warriors. So a message in from a loving Grandad and Nana, who want to say hello to their grandson Oisín. So they're in Canada, and Oisín is at the parade with his parents. Darren McSweeney is watching from Black Rock in Cork. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and hello to his cat Siam and her kittens. Robbie Nelligan and his sister Hannah are watching in from Blarney. That's from David and Dominica. They want to say a big hello to them. Mateus de Mata Lemos had a shout out there from people in the Cork Wolf Pack. I'm only seeing the messages from people who are texting in now. It is only the WhatsApp I'm able to monitor while on the screen. And hello to Ruwan and Hannah up in Mayfield, St. Luke's direction as well. That is from Anne and Ricardo. And while we have it, this is perfect timing because there's approximately 400 people from Mexico living in Cork, and this is the Mexican community in Cork marching now. They are honouring the Durango state, which is famous for its vibrant dances and energetic music. And Diana Williams, who said she would like to regard to all the Mexicans who have studied or worked in Cork at some point in their lives. So she's saying hello to all of them. That is a nice broad dedication for sure. And a happy St. Patrick's Day from Christina to her dear friend Muffy, who's watching live from St. Petersburg. And we had another message from Alina over from America, from McKinney in Texas, to the Royal Pride Band. She wanted to have a specific shout out to her son Jack, who was marching in the parade. And then this is the Dowen Green Society, a group founded by migrants to support other migrants in Ireland. Their aim is to bring people together, build confidence and promote integration. They're wearing traditional and contemporary cultural dress reflecting their multicultural membership. They're showcasing Afghan, Pakistani, Ukrainian, Irish and Turkish cultures. And what we see right now is the UCC Confucius Institute. They are made up of the Confucius Institute teachers, Chinese educators, local and overseas Chinese, and of course enthusiasts of Chinese culture in general. They won the best overall entry at the parade in 2024. Then we have the Cork Lacrosse Centre, and there was a big hello to Tony H from Amy there. They launched a youth girls section in 2025. And right behind them is the EIL Intercultural Learning. They've been working since 1964 with lifelong educational engagements. And just behind that then is the Environmental Forum. They've been active in Cork since 1995. You can see there a banner, Make a Difference. They are promoting renewable energy and the circular economy. And sustainable travel there is represented by the Cork Community Bikes, who also have a transport and mobility forum. Every group that you've seen in the parade today has been specifically tagged and promoted on the Facebook and Instagram channels. So if you want to learn more about any of the groups, that's where you can get to learn more. Watching in from Middleton, Colin wants to say hello to Tig and Quiva from Daddy. Those bikes there, But looking at those lovely bikes, we've another message. First people to message twice from Finn wants to say hello to all his classmates in school. And Dara from the UCC Broad Society are watching the live stream all the way from Washington, and they want Washington Street. Sorry, I fell for the joke you made, and you tricked me. Thanks for tuning in. And what we see there is the Lithuanian house in new organisation aimed at promoting Lithuanian language and culture. There's 33 students, 5 classes and 5 teachers. Chloe O'Reilly says hello to Patrick O'Reilly, who is watching in from Mayfield, and a happy 79th birthday. He's watching the parade at home. I hope you're being treated and spoilt appropriately. Maisie says a big meow, so I believe she's part of the cat crew. She's in Cork but originally from Texas. And then we see the Yoruba Progressive Cork Ireland group. They teach the native language Yoruba. They have over 75 members, and they help support people who are the most vulnerable individuals who live in direct provision. Following them is a community radio station, Life FM. They are here, they're celebrating today with people from various churches around Cork, Christian believers of different churches, but united for the parade. Lauren says a big shout out to her cousin Liam, who is watching over in Australia, really enjoying the coverage, thanks very much, and he is watching the parade over on YouTube. So we are coming towards the end of it. I have a feeling some people have been messaging in and I am not getting the messages, because we seem to be having not so much a technical issue, but as a sinking issue, SYNC, not the way the Titanic went down. Happy St. Patrick's Day to Kevin and Kerry, who are watching the parade. It's Kevin's 50th birthday, and that's from his sister Teddy in Brighton. Bridget O'Sullivan is saying thank you Cork City Council for the live streaming. I agree, she's biased, but there's no Paddy's Day parade better than in Cork. There was a shout out to Brandon Fisher and the rest of the McKinney High School Pride Marching Band as well, and that was from Sandra Lynch. There's the Bolivian community in Cork passing. They're a growing community of people who are originally from Bolivia and resident in Ireland. That's them doing traditional folklore dancing that reflects their history and their culture as well. Following them is the Cork Nepalese community. They're established in 2010, and they're wearing some traditional Nepalese attire and performing their dances, the Pankei Baha. And then we have more wheels. This is not the first time I've seen these guys. They definitely have been in previous parades, and I helped out at the Irish BMX Championships a few years ago. They're based out in Tramore Valley Park. Over 100 members from 4 years and up. You can see them there demonstrating some stunts and wheelies and bunny hops. A message in from Madrid saying I hope there are Cork Madrid's flights soon. I want to come over. That's a big hello. And then Jackie, Jer and Viv in Bishopstown are saying a big hello to the O'Mahony family in Florida, and Samar Wikrama family in Sri Lanka. And then somebody who's at the parade wants to shout out to Jana Allen. She's all the way over from Texas to watch the McKinney Royal Band. We have an Antonio Fernandez saying hello from the Canary Islands. Thanks very much. A shout out to Leah, Ash and Ada, who are at home watching the parade with their mum. And that's from Joel Knight. And Merv D and Douglas in Douglas, Merv D and Noel in Douglas are saying a big happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone they know and everyone that's tuning in. Another shout out from Luke Marshall to his godson Milo. Leo, Ash and Ada, who've been putting on their own parade all morning, and Lisa Knight is saying that they were excited to see this one, and they're now watching it in Killins. Mrs. Lucy would like to say hello to all the boys in third class. Some of them might be BMX cyclists themselves. And to Miss Bogue, Miss Winslow, and a wonderful SNA called Emer. And then Aisling would like to say happy St. Patrick's Day to her best friend Hannah and her little sister Hazel. And Finn texted in with the names. He wants to say happy St. Patrick's Day to Adil, Cian, Danny, Leo, Seamus and their teacher Mrs. O'Donoghue, and Karen, Carmel and Anne, who all help in the school as well. Alicia and all her friends who are watching in from Krakow in Poland. She's very grateful to be able to watch the parade this year, and that's from Andrew and all her family in Cork saying a big hello. Emily, Eve and Ava are all in Deer Park, and that's in from Alison. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And a big shout out to all the past pupils and teachers of North Pres in Farnry, particularly the class of 1974, and that's from Mary V in Essex. Keely was sending a lot of love from Wisconsin, and to the DC Everest band, her dad is the band director, who we mentioned earlier. Jeremiah Lorenzes, but Jeremiah and the rest of the DC Everest High School Marching Band also gets a shout out from Eric, who were watching the live stream of people. Lindsay and Aradia, who are watching the parade from Bishopstown. It's their first time having family attending. They're looking forward to seeing all the colours and all the colours changing to peace and love. And that is from Mary and Aoife. Sean, watching at home up in St. Luke's, gets a shout out and a request from Karen. Laura Foley has been watching in from Manchester with Winnie, and a happy St. Patrick's Day, first St. Patrick's Day to their little girl Veda El Buckley from her mommy and daddy. Jack and Ryan at the Loch are saying a big hello to Justice Lang, who is watching from Basel in Switzerland. He's helped organising the Basel parade, so he would love a shout out. And thanks to everyone else around the country and the world who are organising their own St. Patrick's Day parades. Leanna and Sydney wanted a big shout out to their mom, Jana Allen. They came to Ireland all the way from Texas to watch the parade today. Edgar has texted in to say hello to Mia, who is, I believe, 2 months old, so possibly the youngest person to be mentioned today. So moving there in the camera angle there is the Blackrock Rowing Club. They've over 50 members and they've had massive success on both local and national waters. They messaged in to say that they're always open to new membership, and you can get them on Facebook or Instagram to find out how to partake with them. And a shout out from Axel Campbell to Narumi Campbell, who's up in Dillon's Cross, who's celebrating a special graduation in Cork. So well done to Narumi. And Valerie has texted in just to say happy St. Patrick's Day to her dear husband Jason. The drumming group you can see there now is Batala Mundo. They've been all over the city celebrating their music and culture for St. Patrick's Day parade. Batala was founded by a percussionist, Gibo Consaves in Paris in 1997, and there's now 46 different bands around the world. So it's percussionists playing 5 different types of drums, and they're wearing colourful Batala costumes from Salvador in Brazil. Qatar has sent in their first missive, and that's from Connor Butler, and that's from Connor and Molly, and that's a big shout out to all their family in Cork. Theo Heffernan is watching in from Rathcormac, and that's from Cornelia. Big shout out to the best boy in town. No one else has claimed that role, so out we go. And Kirti has texted in, Kirti and Taran, they're not able to make the parade today, but they're enjoying themselves watching the parade and the wonderful commentary. I'll put that on my LinkedIn, thanks very much. And a shout out to Rachel Quilty, who is at home recovering from a hospital visit. She's up in Dublin. Get well soon, Rachel, and hopefully we get to see you in Cork soon. Established in 1877, that's the Cork City Fire Brigade that is just passing. So they're the last people in the parade this year. They have 8 recruits from the class of 2026, 4 from the Cork City Fire Brigade and 4 from the Louth Fire Service. And you can see that's one of the newest fire vehicles in the Anglesey Street headquarters, and it has a turntable ladder. I'm going to try and catch the last few people. Because we're stuck for time, I'm no longer going to read out comments that are just praising me, but I will print them out myself. And a shout out to brother Aaron from Daniel, who is to Aaron, who's over in Australia, but hopefully tuning in. Alan and Kira send a big hello to Lady M. Very much, she loved the parade, and that's from Kira Lawless. And the O'Leary family are watching in from Ballinhassig. That's from Carol, and she wants to say hello to everyone in the O'Leary family. So that's a nice. I assume that's every O'Leary in Cork and David O'Leary, who scored the penalty in 1990. And shout out to Ayla, who's 7 weeks old. So that's now the youngest. That's younger than a week from the previous person. And she's watching at home with her mummy, her daddy, and her auntie Niamh. Hello from the Chemist Warehouse in Cornmarket Street. Somebody there, Mr. Sanchez, has asked to have a big shout out to everyone on their team, and they hopefully will not be selling too much paracetamol tomorrow, but I do hope everyone in the city gets to enjoy the city in whatever fun but yet sensible way they want to do it. And a shout out from Liza to her cat Bubba. She's not actually watching the live parade, but that's a classic cat behaviour, and she wants to shout out to her best friend Ivan, who's watching in online, and her sister Kate and her mom, who are there to witness. So they're not in Ireland to witness but not celebrate the parade. Apologies there, Liza, I don't think I got all of that there, excuse me. And then Barbara DeVito and her mom in Atlanta, Georgia, get a shout out from Christiana. And one more shout out from Yvonne Drummy, wants to give another shout out to her two other sons, Jason and Danny Drummy. They're all watching at home. And another shout out to Calvin, who's watching in Shanakeel as well. And Luke Marshall would love his godson Milo to be mentioned today, which we are more than happy to do. So thanks everybody for coming in. And you might see just behind the fire truck, I think it's one of the older water pumps. They would have been the ones that were drawn around back in the day, going right back to what the Horgans were saying earlier. That's a little hoarse, as is my voice after speaking for an hour and a half. But I really appreciate everyone who tuned in. I'm Ronan Leonard. It's brilliant looking out the window there. You can see that people are following the parade up in tandem to get all the way to clap them all at the end up in Patrick Street. Kevin, Jenny and David, who are away in Spain at the moment and tuning in, we'd like to say hello to ye. We have a Rose O'Sullivan who's watching in from San Jordi in Mallorca. That is from all your friends in Cork. The Habdens in Tennessee get a big hello from their family watching in Kinsale. Lauren Hayes, who's watching in, was watching in from Douglas, gets a shout out from Fiona and Anna, who's an amazing Irish dancer with the Attridge Academy of Dance. And Oak Fire Pizza in the Marina Market, really want to shout out. Consider that done, and I'll introduce myself next time I'm out and you can give me an extra slice. Cian Jeffries gets a shout out from Sam in Douglas, who took part in the Navy parade today. And Patala gets a shout out. The Patala group from the girls from Bangor in North Wales. Cool. So we're going to wind up now. I want to thank everybody for coming in. We're going to finish with, I have the feeling that this horse is getting so much petting. This horse might be here till next St. Patrick's Day. But it's always great to see the kids having a great piece of interaction with the parade. Not every... So we've had a large amount of cute dogs, but I feel the horses after winning the cutest animal of the day competition. So thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been a great day. I'd like to thank again John, who's been working alongside me, and Marius, who organised all the tech that makes this live stream work. Oh, somebody either stole the hat or the wind took the hat. But look, I'm going to turn off the mic now, and you can just enjoy the last of seeing this beautiful horse. Thank you.